Hey everyone, no long-winded intros today. Here we have the Phanteks Eclipse P500A DRGB and we are going to open it up right now. So this bad boy comes all the way from Newegg in the States. I have to admit I was very hesitant to order a case online due to possible damage during shipping. So I messaged the guys at Newegg and I asked them whether they could please open up the box for me, fill it with some more foam and bubble wrap just to give it that extra bit of protection. So let's have a look at how they did. The box itself is actually still in a very good condition, so I'm feeling pretty good about this one. So that is unfortunately strike one for Newegg. This is the first order that I've placed with them, and they did definitely not follow the instructions that I sent. There is no additional foam or bubble wrap between the side panel and the box, which is, I have to be honest, quite disappointing. Luckily, Phanteks themselves packaged the P500A very well. There is very thick foam on the front and the back ends, and there is a decent amount of space between the side panel and the box, so even if something did perhaps fall on the side or push in, then there really shouldn't be any damage. Everything looks in order. Time to get this bad boy out of the box. Okay, guys and girls, let's do the big reveal. This is the white version. It was the only one that they had in stock, but I probably would have gotten it anyway. I just feel like a bit of a change up, so the white was definitely the clear choice for me. Here we have all the relevant parts and accessories in the little box there inside. As you can see, tempered glass panel in perfect condition. No damage at all here. I'm very happy about that. What I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be giving the case a good once over, and I will be comparing it. I'll just do a paper comparison to the Corsair 4000D RGB version. That is the other case that I was looking at before I became aware of this one. So just to see how those two compare. Yeah, let's get going. So we'll start off with the front panel. There is no dust filter behind the front panel. What Phanteks have actually done is they have made the holes on the front panel very small. And what they say this does is that it still allows enough airflow for the cooling fans on the inside, but the holes are also small enough so that they act as a dust filter themselves. So a two-in-one design that they've gone for here. Time will tell whether it is effective. Front panel obviously removable as well, fairly easily. There we have the three 140mm cooling fans. They are RGB. I will not be keeping them in this configuration though. I'll get around to that a bit later. Here we have the front panel, power switch. Obviously, one of the things that I really liked about this case is that it has a USB-C port on the front. And as I use quite a lot of USB-C flash drives and also headsets, that was quite important for me. Two USB-A ports, headphone jack. These two buttons, not 100% sure what they are for. I would assume it's to do with the RGB fans that we have in the front. Here we have the tempered glass side panel, still covered. And what I really like about this case is that opening the side panel is as simple as pulling it away from the case. It seals with magnets on the inside. And there are also rubber strips around the edges of the door, obviously for a bit of extra protection. And what I also see that I've not seen in other cases is that there is also a plastic covering on the inside of the panel, which is also quite nice. The panel is obviously removable, so we'll go ahead and do that now. And just lay that down over here. So here we have the inside of the case. Here are cable routing holes, which I will show you guys a bit more of later once I'm actually doing the build. On the inside of the case, just below the PSU shroud, you will see there's this line running here, and that is actually another RGB light. So when plugged in and connected, this entire line powers on, and then you can obviously make adjustments to that lighting as well. So in addition to the three 140mm RGB fans in the front, you also have this lighting strip at the bottom of the case as well. There is a lot of clearance on the inside for your fans and possible radiators. The front of the case does support a 420mm radiator, and you would definitely be able to squeeze in an extra thick radiator as well as cooling fans in this section. So lots of space there. You can also mount in the top of a case, you can mount a 360mm radiator or a 280. Just go ahead and take off the dust filter here. That's fairly standard, obviously. So 3 120s or 2 140s. There is quite a good amount of clearance between the top of the case and the edge of the motherboard tray. I will measure that exact distance for you as well. Here we have exhaust fan, obviously very standard as well. This case does support a vertical mount GPU. I'm not 100% sure whether the bracket actually comes with. In fact, let's have a look and see what we have here. No. Here we see that the vertical GPU mount is a optional upgrade. So if that is something that you want to do, you will need to order that. Separately. Here is also a side opening for your PSU. You'll obviously then able to get a good view of that. I'm not sure whether this would actually serve any benefits with regard to cooling. The CPU you can install from the back of the case. You don't have to install it from the side. Also very nice. I'm going to take off the back side panel. Which is not so easy with just one hand. Let's put that down. Okay, so what we have here is what looks to be a very good cable management system. You have your Velcro strips here to get your cabling done properly. That is something that I'm really going to try and focus on with this case, is to really get my my rear side panel cable management done as properly as I can. For reference, I will insert a picture of what my current build cable management looks like. It leaves a lot to be desired. Here we have 2.5-inch drive trays, 3 of them, so more than enough space. So what I will actually be doing is, if you guys have seen my video on the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2 280 unboxing, I would be able to do a roof mount over here. But what I'm actually going to be doing, let me just get a better view, is I will be putting the AIO in the front. So I'll be using the top 2 slots for the AIO. I will leave one 140mm RGB fan in the bottom of the case. The reason I'm doing it this way is in terms of acoustics and also performance, as well as longevity of the AIO. Having your AIO mounted in the front with your pipes coming out of the bottom is hands down the best configuration that you can do. Check out my previous video on the AIO unboxing. There is a link to the video from Gamers Nexus where they explain exactly why. So I will be doing that. So I will be repositioning 2 of the RGB fans for the top of the case, and then I will obviously have an exhaust fan as well. but not just any exhaust fan, a very specific exhaust fan, which will be up in my next video. So keep an eye out for that as well. So as I'm working, just some things that I'm picking up. And what we have here is, in terms of the motherboard front panel connectors, there is only one single connector, and that is for the power switch. There is no reset switch, so obviously no connector needed for that. And there is no power or hard drive activity LEDs. So in terms of that, very quick and simple and easy connector for the front of the PC case. So something that I thought of as I was uninstalling the fans to rearrange them is that there is a lot of space in the front of this chassis. Between the front of the front panel, if I can call it that, and the rear of the front panel, there is a good 30 to 35 mils of clearance, and that is more than enough for the width of a fan. What you could do if you wanted to, I don't know why you would, but because it would be completely overkill, but you could have a 360 mil radiator, even one that's extra thick, in the front, and you could have your fans in push and pull. That is a ridiculous amount of space. Keep in mind, this is a mid-tower chassis, but that's how much space it has. You could probably even, well, not probably, you could do the same with a 420. You could have a 420 in the front of the case in push and pull. Although at the bottom of the case, the bottom fan, there is a bit of resistance here. So what you would need to do is you would need to make a slight modification on the inside of the front panel, cut away some of this plastic here. But if you did that, you could have a set of fans in the front of the case, between the case itself and the front panel cover. That is a ridiculous amount of space for, as I said, a mid-tower case. So just one very minor grievance is that they could, on the rear of the motherboard tray, place just a few of the cable tie mounts here along the side and in this area as well, just to help with cable management. But in general, a lot of room behind the motherboard tray to work with, and it really is much easier than the Corsair 275 that I'm coming from. So just a quick look what the behind the motherboard tray looks like at the moment. That is definitely improvement, and it is really helped a lot by the fact that there is just a lot more space to work with. There's a lot more cable management options, so definitely an improvement. A little bit of a crow's nest over here, not too worried about that. You won't be able to see that through the main panel, so I'm okay with that. What I'm going to do now is just remount the fans. So just one thing that is a little bit annoying is that this middle piece of the case right here is basically in line with the 24-pin connector of the motherboard, and so you sort of, when you want to reposition the 24-pin cable, it's sort of always pushing down. This might not be a problem on all boards depending on where the 24-pin connecting of the board is actually positioned, but just something that I found on my motherboard, which is the Asus Strix X470-F Gaming. So that is it for now. Those of you who saw my previous video will know that I did do an unboxing of the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2 280. I have not installed that yet. There is a very specific reason for that. I will be doing a video on CPU cooling in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so keep an eye out for that one. At the moment I've got two of the 140s in the front doing intake and the other in the roof doing exhaust. In my next video, which is an unboxing of my new / old video, I will be doing or adding a 124 exhaust as well. That is also why I have not connected the PCI Express power cables for now. At the moment I am just using a GTX 750 Ti, so I can at least be functional. So time to put everything back together and power it on. Ladies and gents, it is the moment of truth. Wow, I have to say this case is ridiculously good looking. There we have the RGB strip at the bottom, along with the G-Skill RAM and the RGB ROG logo. So the reason that I'm comparing the P500A DRGB to the Corsair iCUE 4000X RGB is that I was considering a case from the Corsair 4000 series to begin with. I then came across a video review of the P500A by Steve from Gamers Nexus, and I quickly realized there were a number of differences in terms of the main features. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not Corsair bashing here. I have owned a number of their products over the years and I love them. I love the design. They make good, high quality products. But in terms of value for money, the P500A just offers so much more. So let's have a look at the main differences between the two. The two cases differ in size, with the P500A being longer and taller than the 4000X by roughly 50mm each way. This benefits you in a number of ways, as you have more space for cable management behind the motherboard tray, and you just generally have much more options for your build. The P500A supports a 420mm radiator in the front. As I've said, this could be an extra thick radiator, and with some slight modifications you could have your fans in push and pull. It supports a 360 in the roof. In comparison, the 4000X only supports a 360 in the front and a 280 in the roof. Both cases come with 3 RGB fans as standard, but the P500A offers 140mm fans compared to the 120mm of the Corsair. This means that you have more airflow and your general fan noise should also be more silent. The P500A also supports a dual system, so you could purchase the required mounting, roof mounting, and then you could make use of that feature. In terms of the front I/O, the P500A has one extra USB-A port. This might not be something that a lot of people will use, but at least the feature is there. And then finally, in terms of MSRP, the P500A is $10 more expensive, but as you can see, the difference that you are getting is quite a lot. As a first-time Phanteks user, you can RGB me thoroughly impressed. The P500A is an excellent case and I recommend it very highly. If you do have a choice between the standard model and the DRGB version, then make sure that you spend a bit extra. Once you factor in the cost of high-quality 140mm RGB fans, then that more than makes up for the difference in pricing. There are obviously cheaper options available, but if you are willing and able to spend that little bit extra, then you really need to look no further than the P500A. It has excellent build quality, excellent performance, it nails it in the looks department, and it has a lot of features that other cases at this price point simply do not have. The only problem I foresee is availability, and this one is aimed at the Namibian gamers. Unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, there is no local agent for Phanteks in Namibia, and your best bet at sourcing one of these would be to make contact with Woodware in South Africa. You could order one in from overseas, but shipping will be quite expensive, and at that stage you are probably better off finding something local at a much lower price point. If you do stay overseas, this is probably not an issue for you, and if you are in the market for a new case, as I've said, you really do not need to look any further than the P500A. Thanks for watching, guys and girls. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. In closing, I really just have one more thing to say.